It's AnastasiaSenpai, and today we're reacting to Patrick CC and the WNBA trying to destroy a superstar? I'm interested to see what he has to say. So, let's go ahead and give it a watch.
There is more interest in the WNBA today than ever before in history, and there is no doubt that it's because of one woman, Caitlin Clark. Caitlin is breaking viewership records, attendance records, and on-the-court records, all while generating the company hundreds of millions of dollars. Despite that, there is a clear resistance against crowning her as the WNBA's savior. There is a massive divide in the sports world between those who see Caitlin.
I feel like, savior is like a big word. You know, not to say that she isn't great, because she is great. But I feel like, yeah, savior, people are gonna fight you on that terminology.
Caitlin Clark as a trailblazer in women's basketball, and those who see her as a straight white female receiving special treatment in a historically black sport. The animosity towards Caitlin has gotten so bad that not only are players speaking out against her, but they are purposely trying to hurt her on the court, and the refs seem to be turning a blind eye to it. Today we're going to discuss Caitlin Clark's controversial rise to superstardom and attempt to understand why the WNBA seems to be unsatisfied with literally everything she does. The WNBA has never been profitable, which means that the company spends more money than they earn. For many years, there has been heated discussions as to why women's basketball players make so much less than their male counterparts.
Well, NBA they sell more tickets, they have more games, they get more networking, they get more marketing. If there's a movie involving basketball players, it's going to have NBA players over WNBA players. The WNBA doesn't get as much viewership. Lots of reasons they make less money.
Pointing out things like the highest paid female basketball player earns a $250,000 salary, and the highest paid male basketball player gets a $50 million salary.
Well, that's just literally incomparable. The amount of money that they pull in between the two, is like, it's night and day. Of course, it's way different. Of course. Also, wow, three-way tie.
The fundamental business model of any sports organization is actually quite simple. The more people that watch, the more money they make. In 2019, the WNBA generated $60 million. The NBA that same year generated $7 billion.
Oh, yeah.
But there is a different way to analyze the discrepancy.
Oh, yeah.
We're not asking you to get paid what the men get paid. We're asking you to get paid the same percentage of revenue shared. Like, I don't think I should get paid the same as LeBron.
Yet, even this more logical approach to addressing the pay gap still unfortunately doesn't hold up.
I feel like that is literally always the approach in discussing pay gaps. Like, when the women's soccer team was not making as much as they should, they were looking at percentage, I think, not just exact salary. Like, if someone's getting paid more than me and they're getting 50% of their pay and I'm getting 20% of my pay, yeah, I'm going to want 50% just like they get 50%. Like, not necessarily looking at, oh, you made $1 million, I should make $1 million. It's like, no, if you're getting 50%, I should get 50%. Like, I feel like that's most of the time the way it's looked at for things, but
WNBA was losing so much money that the NBA started subsidizing the league by giving them $15 million per year to stay afloat, because the NBA recognized that there needed to be a female league. The lack of interest in the WNBA has been infamously joked about over the years, most notably by comedy legend Bill Burr.
They have been playing in front of 300 to 400 people a night for a quarter of a century. Not to mention, it's a male-subsidized league. We gave you a league. None of you showed up. Where are all the feminists? None of you went to the game.
Men and women like basketball. Men and women show up to the NBA games. So you could argue that just as much women are not showing up as men to the WNBA. What, only women are supposed to support women? No men should be showing up to the games for support because it's just only girls? That kind of logic doesn't make sense to me. I know plenty of women who love basketball. So it's like, if women aren't showing up, men aren't showing up too. So it's like,
None of you, you failed them. Not me. Not men. Women failed the WNBA.
Not me, not men, women. Sorry. I said this was gonna get me.
Ladies, name your top 5 all-time WNBA players of all time. Come on.
Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Crystal Dangerfield, Odyssey Sims. I'm forgetting one more. Damn, I can't think of the 5th one, but there's an OG in there. But 4 out of 5.
That's it. Name 5 WNBA teams. Name the WNBA team in your city.
Okay. Fever, Dream, Sparks, Sky? Fever, Dream, Sparks, Sky. I can't think of any more. But I can name that many.
You can't do it!
Even though Bill was just joking here, there is some truth to his...
They're easy names to remember too. Fever, Dream, Sparks, Sky.
punchlines. It is a business owner's responsibility to do something to grow their brand and business, whether that be marketing, advertising, or simply making the product better to draw more interest from customers. People forget that these massive global sports brands like the NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL all started just like any other small businesses. They are selling something, which in this case starts at trying to get people to watch others play organized sports.
And they've been around for so long. Like, it's been a male-dominated sport for so long. So I feel like they've just had more time to, like, get in the public eye, to get the marketing, to have people training and doing it and whatnot. I mean, was it in the beginning of the NBA, the WNBA, did they even have, like, the ball that they use now? Like, I thought they used, like, the regular basketball that male teams use, and now, like, the basketball is smaller. It's just like softball is different than baseball. So it's like when you have a sport that then has to, or not even has to, but that changes the way it is played or changes the equipment for the gender, then I feel like that's gonna also like alter the audience and the people who show up and whatnot. Like, I don't know.
And we can all agree that the people who play the sport are just as important, if not more important, than the game itself. However, you can't just force people to be interested in a player. I mean, you can try to come up with interesting storylines, maybe a good underdog story, someone who was destined to fail but overcame it, maybe somebody who had a tragic loss in their family or survived some sort of rare condition.
Oh, people love that. People love stories. Look at wrestling. You gotta have a heel and a face. People love conflict, drama, sob stories. You gotta sell it. You gotta sell it.
What about a good controversy? Who doesn't love two players that absolutely hate each other facing off? Storylines, personality, attitude, looks, background are all things that can definitely help draw interest to an athlete. But more often than not, a player's rise to superstardom is rooted in their ability to play the game exceptionally well. And Caitlin Clark was nothing short of a basketball prodigy. But first, a quick word from today's sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. The NFL season is fight for money. That means you'll get development through all Iowa Attack. Thanks, Underdog. By the time she reached high school, Caitlin had undergone years of basketball development through All Iowa Attack, an AAU basketball program in Ames, Iowa. She received her first letter of interest from Missouri State before 7th grade. Entering her sophomore year, she...
You know what's crazy? She was snubbed from the Olympics. That I thought was insane. She should have been on the Olympic team.
Ranked second in the state in scoring. One game she scored 60 points in a 90-78 win against Mason City High School.
The girl's
in her
a beast.
junior year, she set the state single game record with 13 three-pointers. For the season, Clark averaged 32.6 points, 6.8 rebounds, 3.5 assists, and 2.3 steals per game, helping Dowling finish with a 17-8 record. Clark would be of the year and repeated as an all-state first-team selection by the IPSWA. Every single one of Caitlin's averages increased during her senior year, and she led the state in scoring for the second year in a row. By the time she graduated from high school, ESPN ranked Caitlin as the 4th best player in her class and a 5-star prospect. Caitlin announced her intention to play basketball for the University of Iowa. When she entered her freshman season as Iowa's starting point guard, she stood at 6 foot and was a prolific scorer, capable of putting up points from all areas of the court. Caitlin has a deep shooting range that allows her to hit three-pointers from well beyond the arc. Her scoring versatility makes her a constant threat to opposing defenses. Outside of scoring, she is also an excellent playmaker. Her court vision and passing skills are exceptional, often reading defenses effectively and finding open players with precision. Caitlin's ball handling allows her to navigate through defenses with ease. She can drive to the basket effectively and will break down defenders without breaking a sweat. While Caitlin's defense leaves much to be desired, she has a confident demeanor on the court and plays with a high level of intensity and competitiveness. Or in other words, her highly publicized controversy during the 2023 March Madness tournament. In the elite,
which is why, like I said, I feel like it's all about the story or the marketing. It's like, is she popular? Does she deserve flowers? Yes. But like, I feel like one of the reasons that is she's so well known, besides being so talented, is this whole rivalry stuff she has going on. Like, it is a 2-woman team making this happen. Like, it is a story going on. It's not just that. Like, you have to have something. And I feel like she has the talent, and now she has the story, the underdog, they're coming against me, they're attacking me. Like, it's what the media needs to publicize and to make people, I feel like, more intrigued. Like, I don't know, I feel like they do that a lot with a lot of different competitions and shows and sports.
After the game.
Okay, I think I'm mixing up this. I thought he was about to talk about the game with Angel Reese. So this is something actually completely different. I didn't know this was the game that made her like super popular.
Cena publicly acknowledged Clark's use of his signature taunt. Even if they could see you, they couldn't guard you. Congrats on the historic performance, Caitlin Clark. However, not everyone was as supportive of Clark's behavior. Great shooter, but attitude. Female LeBron. She needs to learn some humility, and that's putting it nicely. Sadly, that seems to be the norm these days. Still lots of good kids in the game, but showboating and taunting is more evident with each season.
I think it's also funny that they bring up LeBron, because I'm like, the NBA stars do this shit too.
However, fans let her run her mouth because they felt she was destined to lose her next game. While Iowa was entering their first Final Four since their opponent was the defending champions South Carolina, who were on a 42-game win streak. Yet Clark recorded another historic performance with 41 points, 8 assists, and 6 rebounds.
Okay.
Iowa won 77-73 in an upset against the Gamecocks. Caitlin Clark just advanced the Iowa Hawkeyes to the Women's Basketball Championship for the first time in program history. However, the outrage that would erupt after the game would change women's basketball forever. It was a hard-fought battle, but LSU was simply the better team. With multiple players scoring 20 points or more, Caitlin couldn't take on the LSU Tigers by herself. She scored 30 points with 8 three-pointers, but Iowa still lost 102-85. However, the controversial actions of Caitlin Clark's biggest enemy, Angel Reese, caused a firestorm online. Near the end of the game, Angel followed Clark while waving her hand in front of her face, hitting the same "you can't see me" taunt that Caitlin hit just a few days earlier. Reese then pointed at her ring finger since LSU was about to secure the championship ring. The clip of Reese taunting Clark went mega viral. Sports and political commentator Keith Olbermann referred to Reese as a idiot in a tweet. Barstool Sports founder Dave Portnoy called Angel Reese a classless piece of shit. Shaquille O'Neal responded, "So is your mother." Many people continue to dogpile on Angel Reese and send her unnecessary hate, whereas others pointed out that there was no outrage when Caitlin Clark did the exact same thing just a few days before. Angel responded to the criticism during the post-game interview.
All year, I was critiqued. The narrative,
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, I mean, Caitlyn did get like some pushback, but see, this is where it's gonna be like, this is where it's gonna become complicated, because it's like, I am sure Caitlyn gets ish because she is white. I don't know about the straight part. I mean, maybe, I guess. I'm just like, so if she was gay, it would be better? Like, I don't know. The straight part's so funny to me. But of course she's gonna get shit because she's white. Because if something's historically in a culture, people are gonna want the culture to be the thing that makes it so popular. It's like, imagine if Eminem was what made rap the most popular. That'd be crazy. If he's the thing that made rap as popular, or like whatever, like that would be crazier than him just happening to be an amazing rapper who is white in the rap industry. So there's going to be pushback for that, which is frustrating. And then it's also going to be frustrating because it's just complicated. Black women are going to deal with racism and prejudice all the time doing shit. And then it's like, Caitlyn's going to deal with that too, but it's going to probably be more internal instead of external, while she's most likely going to be dealing with that stuff externally more than probably internally. Then again, who knows? I don't know how they talk to each other on the court exactly. They only have like lip readers and stuff, but I don't know. Again, I need to just watch this, but I felt like I'm already like, oh, I know that it's going to become a race conversation, and I just, God, I'm fretting.
Who I was. Nobody, I don't, the narrative, I don't fit the narrative. I don't fit in the box that y'all want me to be in. I'm too hood, I'm too ghetto. Y'all told me that all year. But when other people do it, y'all don't say nothing. So this was for the girls that look like me, that's gonna speak up on what they believe in. It's unapologetically you. And that's what I did it for tonight. This was for it was bigger than me tonight.
Angel and her supporters online felt that she was only receiving negative criticism because she was black. And if you read some of the hateful things being sent her way, it's hard to see it as anything other than racism. However, real sports fans knew that whether it was Caitlyn or Angel trash talking and taunting, it was good for entertainment. This is all normal and
yeah, of course, it's going to drive views because people love to see the combativeness and stuff. And in the NBA, dudes are like that all the time. They shoving each other, being all in each other's faces. That's the reason they even called her the female LeBron or whatever. And it's like, that's also why it's like, it's wrong on both ends. It's wrong for the black women in the WNBA to get the hate they get just because they're black, and it's going to be wrong for Caitlyn or anyone who is white in the WNBA to get hate because they're good and white. Like, there's just going to be issues both ways, and it freaking sucks. Like, it's just like, I don't know, it's frustrating because I think both of them are dealing with bullshit.
Just a part of the game. Even Caitlyn did not think that Angel deserved backlash. She should never be criticized for what she did. I'm just one that competes, and she competed. I'm a big...
And that's one of the fucking reasons I love... Oof, I didn't mean to curse. And that's one of the reasons I love Caitlyn. Like, it's like she is a good sportsman. She knows, like, it's a part of the game. And it's just like... I feel like she's smart enough to see that. It's just like, you're just getting shit because you're black, just in the same way I get shit because I'm white. Like... Kumbaya, man.
Big fan of hers, but the drama was not done yet. In American sports, it's tradition to visit the White House after winning a championship. However, First Lady Jill Biden expressed her desire for Clark and Iowa to also visit the White House.
I know we'll have the champions come to the White House. We always do.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
But you know what? I'm going to tell Joe, I think Iowa should come too, because they played such a good game. So, right? So winners and losers, that's sportsmanship.
This prompted outrage online as sports fans questioned why the losing team was trying to get the same honor as the winning team. Angel Reese, once again, was offended.
If we were to lose, we would not be getting invited to the White House. And
yeah, exactly. Bruh,
then there was no way that they would also get invited to the
White House. I literally bet.
Jill Biden's press secretary clarified that only LSU would be invited, and Reese ultimately accepted the invite with her team later that week. It's easy for me to understate how many people were tuned in to this Caitlyn Clark and Angel Reese beef. Louisiana versus Iowa marked the most watched NCAA women's basketball championship game in history at 9.9 million viewers. I've never watched women's ball before, but this was an entertaining tournament. Ultimately, the drama seemed to benefit the sport as a whole, and it definitely benefited Caitlin Clark's bank account. In 2021, the NCAA announced that college athletes would finally be able to make money off their name, image, and likeness.
As they should.
It was illegal. Clark received endorsement deals from Hy-Vee, a supermarket chain that has more than 200 locations across the Midwest and the South. Under the Hy-Vee brand, Clark has appeared in its seasonal magazine and several regional ads and commercials. On March 1st,
I bet she'd make
2022,
mad
Caitlin announced
money.
a partnership with H&R Block, a national tax preparation
Mad
company. Caitlin appeared as
money.
part of its A Fair Shot campaign, designed to help female athletes earn fair compensation in the NIL space compared to male athletes.
I know that's
Clark
right.
appeared in several national ads through the company's campaign. In July of 2022, Clark partnered with Topps, one of the largest trading card companies in the US. But
Let's
Caitlin's
go,
most
Caitlin.
notable NIL endorsement came in October 2022 when Nike signed Clark to an NIL deal alongside 4 other high school/college athletes, including Bronny James.
Can you
That same
say
month, she entered another part.
money?
This time with Shootaway, the most prominent basketball shooting machine companies in the world. In March of 2023, Caitlin received another major endorsement, appearing in Buick Automotive's #SeeHerGreatness campaign. Clark then partnered with the investment bank company.
And how are they destroying this WNBA superstar? Because this doesn't look like a destroyed athlete. This looks like someone who's amazing at the game, is getting the clout she deserves, and is literally getting paid.
Goldman Sachs, where she and North Carolina's men's basketball player Caleb Love represented the company's 10,000 Small Business Voices program, releasing a nationwide commercial supporting the modernization of the Small Business Administration. Then in October of 2023, Clark joined NBA player Chris Paul in a popular State Farm TV commercial. Caitlin was bringing national visibility to her sport and getting filthy rich while doing it. But she wasn't the only one getting rich. Universities all across the United States saw exponential growth in the interest in women's basketball. During her senior season, Iowa sold out all of its home games for the first time in program history.
Let's go.
Women's basketball attendance record at 55,646 at a preseason exhibition game against DePaul. I bet you never thought in your life you'd see a football stadium converted into a basketball court for women's ball. Every team that hosted Iowa during the regular season set an attendance record, with an average attendance increase of 100.
Bro. What?
150% during Clark's final season at Iowa. From there, regular season games featuring her became the most viewed women's basketball games of all time on 6 different TV networks. And I was going to name some of the records that she broke and awards that she won throughout her college career, but there are so many that the sheer volume of them is enough for you to understand her dominance. However, the most impressive by far is that she is the all-time leading scorer, man or women, in college basketball history. Pete Maravich from LSU had 3,667 points. He held that record for 54 years, until Caitlin beat it with her 3,951 points. Clark's final regular season game against Ohio State was the most watched regular season women's basketball game since 1999, as well as the second most watched college basketball game of the season, including men's games. As we were approaching March Madness in 2024, opposing players understand her dominance. However, the most impressive by far is that she is the all-time leading scorer, man or women, in college basketball history. Pete Maravich from LSU had 3,667 points. He held that record for 54 years, until Caitlin beat it with her 3,951 points. Clark's final regular season game against Ohio State was the most watched regular season women's basketball game since 1999, as well as the second most watched college basketball game of the season, including men's games. As we were approaching March Madness in 2024, opposing players were ready for Caitlin's demise. Nebraska guard Jazz Shelley did the infamous "You can't see me" taunt after upsetting Iowa. A tweet went viral saying, "It's not ghetto, she's not a thug," pointing out yet again the lack of criticism from a white player taunting Clark. The sports world was expecting drama similar to the previous year's explosive battle with Angel Reese. In the Elite Eight, the Hawkeyes faced the Tigers in a rematch of the 2023 National.
That's also so crazy to look at her just pointing at her finger and it's like, oh, can you believe she did that?
Championship game. Tension was at an all-time high, but the ladies kept this match professional, and Caitlin was not going to let her team go down the same way they did last year. Clark led the Hawkeyes to victory with 41 points, 12 assists, and 7 rebounds in a 94-87 win over LSU. Nah, Caitlin is built different. The look on Angel Reese's face was priceless. Female Curry, she's goated. Caitlin Clark is the kind of generational talent.
It's funny how comparing her to LeBron is an insult, but then Curry is a compliment.
That can change an entire sport. I really think she is going to make people take women's basketball a lot more seriously. Caitlin's 9 3-pointers made her the Division I all-time leader in 3-pointers. After defeating UConn in the Final Four, Iowa reached the national championship game for a second consecutive season. Unfortunately, Clark's 30 points, including a historic 18 points in the first quarter, wasn't enough to beat South Carolina, who won the game 87-75. As great as Caitlin was during her college career, as much as she carried her team to victory for 4 years straight, she was never able to secure a championship title. However, her star power is undeniable, and she will be considered one of the greatest women's basketball players in college history. The national championship delivered 18.9 million viewers, 10 million more than the previous year's game, making it the most viewed women's college basketball game in history. The media spent more time talking about Caitlin than any other players or the team that actually won the game. I mean, just look, every headline
which is crazy, when you think about it. Like, wow, people won and they're not even talked about as much.
Caitlin is a certified star, and she didn't even need to win to be seen as the winner. However, Caitlin's praise is most certainly a double-edged sword. As she entered the WNBA, she was facing immense pressure to revitalize a failing sport. The ticket sales, viewership, and all other financial implications are seemingly riding on her performance as a pro. If she isn't as dominant, or there isn't a good storyline surrounding her, perhaps new fans will become less interested, and the WNBA will miss out on their opportunity to finally become a profitable business. Additionally, other professional players
so much pressure to put on one person.
They are not convinced she will be able to handle the big leagues, and there is no doubt that they are playing more aggressively towards her. They are fouling her much harder, sometimes to the point of blatantly hitting her in the head, and the conversation of her being a straight white female boosting her success will continue to permeate throughout the media. With the first overall pick of the 2024 WNBA draft, the Indiana Fever selected Clark. This broadcast averaged 2.45 million viewers, which was the most in WNBA draft history. Clark's professional contract is worth $338,000 over 4 years. Her fans were outraged at this news. In comparison, the NBA's first overall pick is expected to make $57.19 million over the first 4 years. On average, the NBA rookie contracts average about $33 million, whereas the WNBA rookie contracts average about $320,000. Luckily for Clark, her endorsement deal was about to make up for the lack of funds the WNBA was providing. Adidas offered her a 4-year, $6 million contract.
But
Under
Nike
Armour
paid her well.
a 4-year, $16 million contract. But she ultimately signed a $28 million contract with Nike that spans 8 years and includes a signature shoe. Caitlin also signed a multi-year deal with Wilson Sporting Goods, the WNBA's official basketball supplier. Wilson said that Clark would test, advise, and provide feedback on a range of its basketball products, become a brand ambassador, and release new collections that celebrate her throughout 2024. Not only was Clark receiving praise from fans and the media around the world, but because of endorsements, she just earned a level of wealth that no female basketball player has ever seen before. The salary cap for every single WNBA team combined is a little over $17 million. From Caitlin's Nike endorsement alone, she could pay every single WNBA player's salary for 1 year and still have $10 million left over. So imagine how all of the other players feel.
Angry.
Even the ones on her team. They play on the same court, they play the same game, and they often outperform Caitlin, but they won't receive nearly as much or any media attention at all, and they'll make about $80,000 a year, which is not even enough to comfort.
That's why I feel like I don't know. I almost feel like it's easy to minimize it and be like, oh, they're just like saying it's because she's white or this other stuff, and it's like maybe it is, maybe she isn't. Like it, like you can't. It's a hard thing to like be statistics, like to look at the statistics because it's like, I mean, can you guarantee me that her not being gay and her being white doesn't benefit her, with her talent? If she had this exact same talent but was gay and Middle Eastern or Black or Latina, like, would that have no effect on her? You know, like, I don't think you should, like, bring up her race when it comes to the conversation of, like, she is good, so she gets recognition, right? But it's like, devil advocate wise, yeah, I could see some people, whether they're black or white, looking at it, playing the same game on the same court as her and being like, dang, I am not pulling in nearly as much money, and it's endorsements. It's like companies have to look at you and be like, you're what we want. And it makes sense, really, how she plays. It makes sense for it to be her for a lot of these endorsements. But it is so hard in the society we are in America to have a bunch of people struggle to get endorsements, especially of color, and then not feel as though it's because she's more palatable. It's like really hard to tell. Like it could be just straight up talent, could be, or it could be that and the fact she's white. Like, I don't know.
Comfortably afford a typical home in America. It's safe to say that Caitlin Clark had a target on her back. Several WNBA players, including some who are no longer in the league, made public comments that many interpreted as being antagonistic towards Clark.
In this hot take debate about, do you need to have a championship for legacy when you talk about a women's college basketball player? You are the expert on this since you have 4.
Yeah.
Does Caitlin Clark need a championship to be considered one of the greats in women's college basketball history?
Yeah, she does. I think so. Because then you're gonna look 10 years back and you're gonna see all the records she's broken and the points and stuff like that. But anybody knows, your goal when you play college basketball is to win a national championship. So you need one.
Around the same time, college basketball legend Lynette Woodward suggested during a coaches convention that Clark hadn't broken her scoring record.
That's what I couldn't
because
think
they
of
weren't
before.
playing under the same rules.
I'll just go ahead and get the elephant out of the room. I don't think my record has been broken because you can't duplicate what you're not duplicating. And so unless you come with a men's basketball and a 2-point shot, hey, But just for you, so you can understand, so you can help me spread that word.
Lynette played from 1978 to 1981 when women had to play with a men's-sized basketball, which is a slightly larger ball than the current standard. With a smaller ball but same size goal, there will be more scoring, due to a higher margin for error with the shot still going in. They also did not have a 3-point line back then. Additionally, the NCAA was not the governing body of women's collegiate sports when Woodward played, so her 3,639 career points are not recognized by the NCAA. But even if they were, Caitlin still did score more points than that. Due to the backlash she received online, Lynette issued an apology 24 hours later with bolded text on the bottom that read, "Caitlin holds the scoring record." Another former player, Cheryl Swoops, attempted to undercut Caitlin's accolades, incorrectly claiming that her scoring record wasn't valid because she had been playing for more than 4 years.
This isn't just for Caitlin, but you asked me about Caitlin. If you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of years set it.
Okay.
Right? So if Kelsey Plum set that record in 4 years, well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years. But because there's a COVID year and then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had an extra year to break that record. So is it truly a broken record?
While this seems like a decent argument, Cheryl is just misinformed. Caitlin only played college basketball for 4 seasons, not 5.
Caitlin Clark right now probably takes about 40 shots a game.
Caitlin only took 20 shots per game over her NCAA career. That's double than what Cheryl claimed.
How much more experience that gives you over other players coming in, right? So people say, dang, like he or she's killing them, but you have a 25-year-old playing against a 20-year-old. Like, you should be killing them. Because you've been doing it a lot longer than they have.
Cheryl then says Caitlyn is 25 when she is 22 years old. Then when Cheryl got called out for the misinformation, this was her response.
I'm gonna say this, and then I wanna be done with this whole conversation. So for people to come at me and say that I made those comments because I'm a racist, first of all, black people can't be racist, but that's the farthest thing from my mind. I grew up in a very small West Texas town, predominantly white. My best childhood friend is white. So it's important for me.
I can't be racist. My best friend is insert color here.
Me that I speak up for people that look like me. It's Black History Month. So, our ancestors fought and died for us to have opportunities that we have today. I have, no issues with Caitlyn. Her breaking the record, I think, obviously is a tremendous accomplishment. Although, we could get into that discussion also, because there was a big debate on Lynette Woodard having the actual record.
Phoenix Mercury guard Diana Taurasi made a disparaging comment when she was asked about the up-and-coming group of college superstars, which included Clark and Angel Reese. Reality is coming, Taurasi said. You look like superhuman playing against 18-year-olds, but you're going to come play with some grown women that have been playing professional basketball for a long time. Naturally, Caitlin Clark fans were at her neck on social media, but she doubled down.
It's the new fans are really sensitive these days. You can't say anything. It's kind of like when you go from kindergarten to first grade, there's a learning adjustment. When you go from high school to college, there's a learning adjustment. I don't think I said anything that wasn't factually correct. And like anything, greatness is going to translate. And she's proven that in every level. And I don't see it being any different in the WNBA.
All those sensitive fans didn't even know who Taurasi was until Caitlin Clark. Anyone who criticizes or even makes a subtle negative comment on Clark will receive pretty obnoxious replies from people on social media. That did not stop the women from saying how they feel. Aja Wilson, the Las Vegas Aces star, told AP News that she felt Clark's whiteness was a huge factor in her popularity. You can be top-notch at what you are as a black woman, she said, but they don't see it as marketable, so it doesn't matter how hard I work. She added, "It boils my blood when people say it's not about race, because it is." In a league in which approximately 70% of the players are black, nearly a third identify as LGBTQ, and most come from urban environments, Clark is white, straight, and from Iowa. However, others merely say it's just because she's an incredible player. Her playstyle and ability to shoot deep three-pointers is reminiscent of Steph Curry, who is a modern-day NBA superstar that kids all around the world love. Not to mention the endless list of records she holds. There's no solid argument against Caitlin Clark being great, but that was in college. How is her professional career going so far? Caitlin made her debut on May 14th, scoring 20 points in a 92-71 loss to the Connecticut Sun. 10 days later, she posted her first double-double.
Debate on Lynette Woodard having.
Taurasi said, "You look like superhuman playing against 18-year-olds, but you're going to come play with some grown women that have been playing professional basketball for a long time." Naturally, Caitlin Clark fans were at her neck on social media, but she doubled down.
It's the new fans are really sensitive these days. You can't say anything. It's kind of like when you go from kindergarten to first grade, there's a learning adjustment. When you go from high school to college, there's a learning adjustment. I don't think I said anything that wasn't factually correct. And like anything, greatness is going to translate. And she's proven that in every level. And I don't see it being any different in the WNBA.
All those sensitive fans didn't even know who Taurasi was until Caitlin Clark. Anyone who criticizes or even makes a subtle negative comment on Clark will receive pretty obnoxious replies from people on social media. That did not stop the women from saying how they feel. Aja Wilson, the Las Vegas Aces
that
star,
last comment was just talking about the way
she
she
felt
looks
Clark's whiteness
only.
was a huge factor in her popularity. You can be top-notch at what you are as a black woman, she said, but they don't see it as marketable, so it doesn't matter how hard I work. She added, "It boils my blood when people say it's not about race, because it is." In a league in which approximately 70% of the players are black, nearly a third identify as LGBTQ, and most come from urban environments, Clark Clark is white, straight, and from Iowa. However, others merely say it's just because she's an incredible player. Her playstyle and ability to shoot deep three-pointers is reminiscent of Steph Curry, who is a modern-day NBA superstar that kids all around the world love. Not to mention the endless list of records she holds. There's no solid argument against Caitlin Clark being great, but that was in college. How is her professional career going so far? Caitlin made her debut on May 14th, scoring 20 points in a 92-71 loss to the Connecticut Suns. 10 days later, she posted her first double-double with 11 points, 10 rebounds, and 8 assists, showcasing her potential in the Fever's first regular win over the Los Angeles Sparks. On May 28th, in a rematch with the Sparks, she recorded a career high, 30 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists in an 88-82 loss. During the game, Clark broke the record for the fastest WNBA rookie to reach 100 points and 50 assists.
Nice.
She was named the league's Rookie of the Month in May. Still, Clark received criticism for not reaching the unattainable standards bestowed upon her by the media. While she was performing well, she wasn't performing well enough. Her high turnover count paired with the Fever only winning 1 game in May, earning them a 1-8 record. Then again, a lot of Clark's on-court success has been hindered by what seems to be the relentless defense against her. Take a look at this obvious flagrant foul committed on Clark by Kennedy Carter, who seems to have called her a little bitch before pushing her from behind. Or this Seattle Storm player who blocked the ball and drove her elbow directly into Caitlin's head. The refs did not call a foul. Or when Angel Reese, who now plays for the Chicago Sky, lunged her arm into Caitlin, knocking her down, then taunting her as she ran away, with again no call from the refs. Ironically, Clark doesn't really care that other players are targeting her. It is what it is. I feel like I'm just at the point where you accept it and don't retaliate. I'm trying not to let it bother me. However, others are speaking on her behalf. Fever coach Christy Sides told reporters that she believes Clark has been treated unfairly. It's tough to keep getting hammered the way she does and to not get rewarded with free throws or foul calls. The coach followed up by tagging the WNBA on Twitter, where she wrote, "This is unacceptable. When will the consistent complaints be heard?" The Fever's general manager, Lynn Dunn, piled on, asking the league to clean up the crap on Twitter. NBA legend LeBron James made headlines for his defense of Clark. In April, he tweeted, "If you don't rock with Caitlin Clark's game, you're just a flat-out hater." During an episode of his podcast, Bron claimed that a new player in the professional league is not going to receive praise. It's normal for opponents and even teammates to show animosity towards rookies.
The people could have been your teammates, could have been the people you're competing against.
That's why I said it's so complicated to make it about, like, to try to say it's just like a race issue. It's just, oh, they're just doing this because she's white. They're just doing this because she's white and straight or whatnot. Like, is it going to be partially that? Like, of course, like, statistically wise, there's always going to be something about the way that you look and where you come from and your upbringing that affect things about you. But it's also that in sports, there's this kind of veracity that's going to happen. You are being a trailblazer that's gonna get pushback.
They weren't celebrating you.
No, not at all.
They wanted to kick your ass.
Absolutely. I mean, my teammates for sure. There's video evidence of my teammates basically saying he's not ready, or there's somebody playing his position, or we're not putting all our faith in the 18-year-old kid. So my own teammates that I had to like be on the floor with, practicing with, on the planes with, in the locker room, in game situations was kind of, just had this kind of, like you said, you want to say hate, but just like animosity, like towards me. And I didn't even come in with that. I came in with the narrative, but I didn't come in with that type of aura. I just wanted to come in and learn from the vets and then put the work in. So I think for my advice to Caitlin, and my advice to anyone that comes in with this, this level of like notoriety, expectation, it's all about having, be a horse, man, the Kentucky Derby. Put
the
your
blinders on.
Go to work, show up to work, punch your clock in, prepare yourself, work on your game, work on your craft, kind of keep your mouth shut, and just learn from the vets. When they ask, you voice your...
I'm saying, like, the treatment she's getting, the pushback, it's, like, not fair, but then, like, who gets the fairness? What person isn't getting pushback? You think Curry doesn't get pushback? You think Curry doesn't get hate? Just like LeBron, just like everyone, like, that's going to happen, and then you can try to point out and be like, it's because of this. It's only because of this. And it's like, no, it's not just because you're white and you're straight. Like, it would be like, whatever it is, it'd be pointed out. Like, if she was gay, it would be like, oh, she's getting hate because she's gay. You know, if she was black, because she's black. Like, it would, whatever it is, it would be able to be something that you point out and be like, oh, it's because of this that you're getting the hate.
Opinion, if they want your opinion, man, early on, because everybody is looking for you to say anything, and they're gonna splice it and cut it and make it a negative thing. Like,
ESPN host Pat McAfee also chimed in to defend Caitlin Clark.
But I would like the media people that continue to say, this rookie class, this rookie class, this rookie class. Nah, just call it for what it is. There's one white bitch for the Indiana team who is a superstar. And is it because she stayed in Iowa, put an entire state on her back, took a program?
Shut up. Why would you? You don't need to. Oh, that annoyed me. You had to say that. You had to say that. Like, what? Like, you really. He didn't have to say that. What the fuck?
From nothing to a multiple year success story? Is it because she would go on to break the entire points records in the history of the NCAA? Not just the women's record by Kelsey Plum, shout out, but also Pistol Pete Maravich's, the dude's record as well. Is there a chance that people just enjoy watching her play basketball because how electrifying she is, what she did, what she stood for, how she went about going, what she went for? Maybe. But instead, we have to hear people say that we only like her because she's white. And she's the only popular because the rest of the rookie class is doing what they're doing. Well, that's a bunch of bullshit. And we think the WNBA, more specifically, their refs need to stop trying to screw her over at every single turn. What you have is somebody special.
While McAfee was criticized for calling Caitlin a bit, many agreed with him.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he almost could have made a point, but he had to call her a female dog. Like, that's wild. Like, you're gonna say people are ragging on her, calling her out because she's white, while you derogatorily, like, call her that. Like, what the fuck?
His sentiments. However, Angel Reese pushed back on the narrative that Clark is single-handedly bringing new fans to the sport.
It all started from the national championship game, and I've been dealing with this for 2 years now. And understanding, like, yeah, negative things have probably been said about me, but honestly, I'll take that because look where women's basketball is. People are talking about women's basketball, but you never would think that we'd be talking about women's basketball. People are pulling up to games. We got celebrities coming to games, sold out arenas, like, just because of one single game. And just looking at that, like, I'll take that role. I'll take the bad guy role, and I'll continue to take that on and be that for my teammates. And if I want to be that, and I know I'll go down in history, I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that.
Although many people don't want to give Angel her credit, there's no doubt that the hero versus villain story is working in the WNBA's favor as well.
Come on, don't, yeah, no, she deserves her 5 stars. Literally, both of them. It's both of them.
As Caitlin Clark's favor. Like, yes, people want to support Caitlin because she is electrifying and genuinely talented. However, the added animosity, beef, and physicality from Angel is definitely boosting interest as well.
Oh, yeah.
It essentially gives Caitlin Clark something to overcome. People
Exactly.
will claim basketball, and maybe a little bit of aggressiveness is fine, but not too much. There's a line to be crossed, but they're kind of lying to themselves a little bit. Let's be honest. Everybody loves a little controversy, we love a good hero versus villain story, and Angel Reese has just accepted the role as the villain. Somebody's got to do it. But the league's sudden surge in popularity should be credited to Clark based on TV ratings and attendance records. During Caitlin's first month in the WNBA, the Los Angeles Sparks, New York Liberty, and Seattle Storm each set attendance records while hosting the Indiana Fever. In response to popular interest in Clark, the Sparks, Vegas Aces, Atlanta Dream, and Washington Mystics all had to move their home games against the Fever to larger arenas. In the first half of the WNBA season, 16 games averaged over 1 million viewers. It's the most games to surpass 1 million viewers in WNBA history. Of those 16 games, Clark and the Indiana Fever played 14 of them. Clark also leads the WNBA in player-specific merchandise sold. The media, the other players, podcasters, YouTubers, and the WNBA as a whole makes more money every time they talk about Caitlin Clark. And at the end of the day, It's all about money. If people can make money talking about the WNBA, then they're going to keep talking about it. And who is the most famous, most popular, most interesting person in the WNBA? Caitlin Clark. The WNBA's 36 million unique TV viewers in 2023 marked a 27% increase from the previous season, while revenue was up about $200 million. And that was before Clark was even in the league. 1 month after Clark joined the league, Commissioner Kathy Engelbert announced that teams would be traveling on private charter flights this season.
Y'all should be thanking that girl for getting y'all ass private charters, all the money and visibility she bringing to the WNBA. Don't be petty like dudes. Listen, what she's accomplished.
I am so happy you said that. Like dudes. It's not just the women.
Give her flowers. Stop being petty, all you women out there. She got y'all ass charters. She bringing all y'all this money to the table, but y'all being petty like dudes.
And even though there are a handful of outspoken individuals who seem to be anti-Caitlin Clark, the silent majority of WNBA players likely are very grateful for Clark and Reese for bringing more interest and more money to the sport. But as we all know, controversy sells. The masses did not care about Clark's greatness before she had some drama surrounding her name, which notably started with her beef with Angel Reese. The WNBA, the media, social media personalities, YouTubers will all continue to milk and farm drama and controversy as much as possible to generate money and interest from casual viewers. They are hoping that little by little those people will become interested in and become regular viewers of the WNBA. I mean, here you are, 20-30 minutes deep into a video about the WNBA. Did you think you'd ever watch one? But at the same time, Caitlin Clark is a generational talent. Caitlin is going to inspire a whole generation of girls that believe they can be a superstar like her one day. And because of her, the trickle-down effect will occur. The WNBA will generate more revenue, which will lead to higher pay, higher quality coaches, higher quality facilities, equipment, technology, and overall infrastructure to make sure these players satisfy the new demand. Colleges will do the same. With more WNBA interest, women's basketball events will see a boost in ticket sales and merchandise sales. Therefore, the universities are going to scout even harder, hoping to get a talent remotely as exciting as Caitlin Clark, which means that high schools and youth basketball programs all around the country will invest in their infrastructure to build up female basketball players, since now they have an uptick in colleges scouting and looking to give even more scholarship opportunities to young girls, which means that parents will be inspired and incentivized to get their daughters into basketball earlier, to refine their skills and potentially turn it into a career, which will increase the overall quality and competitiveness of female basketball players from toddlers to the WNBA.
I don't know why I expected to say toddler and tiara.
Caitlin Clark is the reason why a lot of great things is going to happen for the WNBA.
I was like, okay, Patrick. Yeah, honestly, great video, Patrick. I mean, yeah, I think there's a lot to be said. I think she's a great player. I think she's doing a lot. She is marking her way through history. I feel like a lot of it is just like publicity, and I don't know. I feel like she's not really getting like hate for necessarily like being white and straight. I think she's getting hate for being great, and then you can double it up onto something and point out like, oh, it's because she's white. I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's not really that, but like, of course it's going to be a bit of that. Like, it's always going to be because of something about the person's looks and upbringing that you can point out and say, oh, is this why you're getting there versus this? But at the end of the day, I think she is getting the advertisements, the clout, the recognition. She's just getting the good old sports. Like, I don't know. Like, sports are, like, vicious sometimes. So, I don't know. She's amazing, and I feel like I'm glad that the WNBA is getting more presence, more notoriety, and more people are getting interested in it. And it is definitely thanks, in part, to Caitlin Clark being amazing. Like, yeah. Great video, Patrick. That was cool. So what do you think? Do you feel like Caitlin's getting unfairly ostracized because she's white? Do you think it's just a part of the sport? Like, comment down below. Tell me, what do you think of Patrick's video? What do you think about Caitlin? What do you think about the WNBA and everything that's going on Do you disagree with anything I said? Do you agree with anything I said? Let me know. And don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Bye!